The essence of self-improvement was founded on lust, ego, and insecurity. Don't worry, this isn't going to be like one of those videos on the dark side of Hamza or the dark side of Andrew Tate. I'm not going to waste your time. That's played out, monotonous, boring commentary, and it's a complete waste. This video is not only going to change your entire view on self-improvement, but your entire worldview in general, your whole worldview. Now, do you even know the roots of how self-improvement actually started? It wasn't started by Hamza or Tate, or even those Ali Abdal better improvement type YouTubers. It was actually the pickup artist era that started this movement.
Now it's like a cool thing to do, but really what it was is it was just self-help in disguise. Like most of it, you know, for every pickup line or whatever there was, like there was really useful advice about you know, social skills, self-esteem, confidence.
It was built on this ego-driven and prideful drive to get laid, to become that guy. I'm going to bring some key arguments and examples that's going to snap you out of that programming on why self-improvement is failing and the one thing needs to be saved. I promise you, I'm about to change your whole worldview of this one video. A lot of people bring up this completely weak argument that, oh, well, if I don't know how to learn to get a girl, I'm never going to find a wife. I'm going to completely eviscerate that argument and give you the better and ultimate alternative, so we can make self-improvement what it was always meant to be. Just come at this video with a stoic, neutral point of view. Analyze your thoughts, think critically and stoically like the philosophers of the past. I generally think you might be swayed by some of the points I'm going to make that's backed up with evidence. In fact, they even clicked on this long form video, it means something. This is the end all be all of self-improvement nowadays. Becoming the guy who can attract any and all the women that he wants, who has the respect, who has the money. In fact, this is why the entire self-improvement niche became a thing. It started in the 2012 to 2014 pickup artist era, where guys actually start to come together and try to find the best tactics to attract women. All of these code name-esque terms, body count, cold approaching, looks maxing, all of them came from this era. Even those weird kissing challenge, prank invasion, Conor Murphy type vids, they all came from that era. I'm sure you remember those. There was a pickup artist culture, being able to attract as many girls as you want, having sex with the most attractive women, a Chad sex symbol that everyone sees and admires. This is a true goal and still is for a lot of people in self-improvement. I'd say majority. A lot of people, their ego, they don't admit, they don't actually question why they have these sorts of goals. To sit down and ask the why. People don't want to do that, because when they do that, it can expose how shallow some of their desires actually are. This is what makes some people not want it bad enough. It's because their actual desire is so shallow. And this is why the whole foundation for why they're on self-improvement crumbles as well. Damn, maybe I do just want some pussy. Maybe I do just want to be respected for once. Maybe I do just want respect from people. Maybe I do just want to be that guy in my school, my social group. Now don't get me wrong, people with these shallow desires do achieve this. People are able to make it to the point where they can have these shallow goals. They can sleep and have sex with all the women they want. The thing is, once you get there, you don't want to stop. It becomes the addiction. And for most people, this completely replaces their addiction to porn. Most people never conquer their lust. They never actually conquer their addiction of porn. It just amalgamates into something else. They just move on to it in real life. Porn 2, porn the upgrade. Instead of late night stroking your wee-wee to two people having sex on screen, instead you just ring up that girl you've been talking to, you arrange a link up, and then you have meaningless sex for self-pleasure. And it's not only the addiction to sex that starts to happen, addiction to the game itself. But I'll be getting onto that later on in the vid. Why is this bad, Fritz? One could say it's just getting a little bit of experience before you marry, right? How are you gonna get a girl without any experience of talking to one? All of these self-improving YouTubers, Hamza Tate, all of them spout this message that you need to have sex and you need to gain experience in order to live a happy marriage and have a happy wife, right? How are you gonna get a girl if you don't know how to talk to her? Now let me ask you a question. The end goal of all of this, to get a wife, right? I have a beautiful wife with good traditional traits, loads and loads of children. I want you to think for a second. Every single self-improvement YouTuber who spouts this message of you need to have loads of experience, you need to have sex with loads of girls before you get a wife, what are their relationships like? They can literally get any woman they want. They're at the top 1%, they are the best. They're at the pinnacle of wealth and fame like they said. Where are the results? Where is the wife? Are they married? Where are the kids? Huh? Do they have a fruitful marriage with many children and a happy wife? Oh, Hamza. He break up with his girlfriend and then go back to that party lifestyle, that hedonistic lifestyle.
Like the middle of the city, and I wanted a vibrant friend. I tell you the exact truth I wrote down. I said, you know what? I actually want to have a few like sleepless nights. Bro, for the last few years, I've went to sleep at 7, 8 p.m. You couldn't imagine the amount of like parties and social events and dinners that I've been. I don't want to say a bad word about my girl. I really can't about my ex. But she saw it, and I'm not gonna lie. Like I could see how like offended she was, where she was quite like pressuring. She was like, wait, you want to do this? Oh, you want to do that? You want to stay up late, but that's unhealthy. And I understood. You know, it is fair enough. What I'm saying is like, oh yeah, like I kind of want to be a little bit more sleep deprived. And she just couldn't really see that this was like me just being authentic, that this was the life I wanted to live. So there was quite a lot of like judgment from her. And when I saw that judgment, I thought, yeah, like maybe we're not actually compatible for the next season.
After supposedly settling down to enter the father chapter, completely going back on everything that he said. Now, one of the reasons why this happened, he said, was that she was starting to lose attraction. Because he stopped playing the character when he was trying to game her, when he was using game, the mysterious guy, she started to lose attraction for him. And this points to one of the crucial flaws of this sort of mindset. He stopped playing a character. It's a character. Instead of cultivating his own character, he tried to be someone that he wasn't. And he tried to maintain this over a long period of time. His goal was to maintain this over a lifetime. A lifetime. Character. This is what men are missing nowadays, especially the younger men like me, because you need to go on an adventure, you need to experience stuff, you need to live life in order to actually achieve the character. And she started to lose attraction. Because of course she did. She wasn't attracted to you, she was attracted to the character. You're going to tell people to be on nofap, to not be controlled by their urges and lust. And you're doing the same thing. You're telling people and you're spouting this message. You need to go and get as much experience as you can. You need to go out and have sex with loads of women, get the experience you need. I mean, think, you don't fix lust with more lust. Some of you might be thinking Andrew Tate as well, right? I mean, he has kids and he's married, right? He's happy. Well, first of all, he's polygamous and he has 11 wives, supposedly. So we are not talking about the same thing at all. Now, his own reasoning for having 11 wives is completely fallacious. He says he wants to have multiple kids. He wants to have loads of kids. He wants to have an army.
But you know what else more than one wife will give you? It'll give you children faster. Because even the most atheistic or the most Christian men I know, they might have 2 or 3 babies and it'll take 5 to 6 years.
Wrong.
The woman gets pregnant, etc., etc.
Who says you can't do that with one woman? Why is he acting as if it's literally impossible to have large amounts of children with one woman? It's not impossible. It was literally the average. People back in the day used to have 8 or 9 children on average. Who's to say you can't have more now? Instead, we actually see examples of people who have like 14 children now. You know the real reason why he has 11 wives and why he's going to completely deny this as well, and he always denies this, but it's true, is because he literally couldn't be with one wife if he wanted to.
I think that probably the biggest decline in the Western world I have to accept, even though I partake in it and even though I am guilty of it. I think the biggest failing of the Western world is that men and women do not stick together anymore. I think it would fix a lot of problems.
I find that very fascinating that you know that's the problem. You teach men to be better men and to fix their problems. Don't run away from it. But you know that monogamy is a challenge for you, but you don't want to...
It's not a challenge. Monogamy is not a challenge for you.
Yeah. Like, are you ever looking to get married or have one lady that's your partner?
That's a good question. If I was married, I certainly wouldn't say it on a podcast. And yes, absolutely. I do believe in family, and I do believe in having a link and in
that situation, would you? That's it. No other women.
I don't, and that's a...
I'm going to touch on this later on in the video, but his main argument is that kings of the past used to have loads of wives, mistresses. Powerful people used to have loads of mistresses in the past, so it only makes sense for it to happen now. What? Are you serious? That's the argument we're using. People in the past used to do it, so I'm going to do it now. Kings of the past also used to inbreed. Are you going to do that? No. He's just picking and choosing stuff to support his weak arguments. It doesn't make sense, and you know it doesn't too. It's deceptive rhetoric. Kings of the past, knights used to have many wives, so having many wives is natural. That's one of the weakest arguments I've ever heard in my life. Saying a lot of people in the space will try to point to evolution and say there are supports for polygamy. Like, I say apparently and very loosely because of multiple clips and things that he said, so I'm not even going to talk about that.
Nothing more inspirational than saddling up with your boys in a bunch of supercars and taking time out your day to go and praise the Lord Jesus Christ.
When you think about it for just a little more than 30 seconds, this evolution thing doesn't make sense, because how we evolved to have one guy having multiple women would now just literally make it 10 times harder, and it wouldn't make sense for the other guys as well. Okay, one guy has multiple wives and multiple children. that one guy has to protect the entire tribe and multiple wives and multiple children by himself. Like, that doesn't make sense. From predators, from apparently dinosaurs, all that stuff. What are the other men of the tribe gonna do? They're just gonna sit there and let that guy cuck him. Like, it doesn't make sense. It's not supported at all. He tries to say it's just natural instinct, but again, wouldn't that just mean that you don't have the discipline to control yourself? You don't have the discipline to control your lust, so you need to have multiple partners? It's completely fallacious. He contradicts himself with the whole discipline thing, and it doesn't make sense. A lot of young men in general, they'll see these arguments and they won't even think twice. They'll be like, yeah, that makes sense. Evolution. Why didn't I think of that? Just have high testosterone. I need multiple wives. It's natural. Kings, knights, they used to do in the past. Yeah, that makes so much sense. And this line of thinking from Tate, both of them, they say, degeneracy in the West, that's the problem. Degeneracy, the fall of the West. But you're promoting more degeneracy by telling men that they need to sleep with multiple women in order to get experience. Because when you're actually thinking about it, who are these degenerate women having sex with? They're not having sex with anyone. They're having sex with other men. So it's not just women, it's both sides. You are the main contributor to the problem. Tate's all fine using women for their sexual pleasure, their validation, their businesses, their ego, whatever means they use them.
I absolutely not really love women. I have nothing against women. I believe women are the most precious things on the planet.
I'd take around half of the money.
Around 50%.
Around 50%.
They thought they were on 50%. And I said that the disparity is because of taxes.
He would just pay me a flat fee of £15 an hour.
It was all about trying to get paid. Like, I used sex as a tool to make women love me so they'd obey me and live in my house and make me money. That's what I wanted. So I was a pimp in that.
I believe women are the most precious things on the planet.
And this is 2020. This is not 10 years ago. He goes on to say, transmitted the following audio message revealing their operational approach. Primarily, I'm going to work these bitches like slaves, and I don't want to write down the MFC score much. So when they stop performing well on MFC, or stagnate, or after they finish the video, after all the tokens can be taken out of the room, and I'm going to change something and then make them work more hours and hours and hours. I work them like slaves.
There you go, whatever means they use them until it happens to their daughter. Until the same sort of guy goes and does the same thing to one of their daughters, because you can't use that line of argument just for other women. You have to use it universally, right? But it's all fun and games until you realize you're doing this to a future mother, someone's little sister, someone's cousin. Like, when it happens to you, you're gonna feel some type of way about it. God forbid, of course. I'm not saying that I want this to happen to them, but I'm just saying, and I'm using this as an example of their fallacious reasoning, the horrible holes in their argument. How are you gonna say you want traditional values in the West, and then you go to a country with traditional values, and then you try to corrupt this? Like, literally, look at this clip of Tate saying this is the easiest way to have sex with virgins and stuff. Mate.
Run game like me and meet the women who I meet and roll in the circles I meet. You meet beautiful virgins sometimes. Me, I'll do 2 or 3 virgins a year. Now, how do you date a virgin when you're an ice cold player? There is a tactic which I'm going to share with you on how to date a virgin and how to take a girl's virginity. Now, the recipe hasn't changed, but the tactics and the implementation has certainly changed. Be their boyfriend for 3 months and be in a nice relationship with them. That is the recipe. I'm sorry, guys. You want to run into a virgin and f her the next day? Don't ask me how. I don't know. I don't think anyone knows. I don't even think it's possible. You have to be their boyfriend for an extended period of time. You then have to take her virginity on the 2nd month anniversary or something along those lines, and I'm going to teach you how to do it while still being in a playboy lifestyle scenario. What you do with your virgin is you turn everything into a date. I need to go have a business lunch with my brother or my friends. I make sure she's there. I Uber her in, I Uber her out. If I have to go for a drive, I make sure she's with me. I go and pick her up, do my drive, drop her off, go back home. If I have to go to a club, she's part of my double booking scenario. She's always with me, at least 3 or 4 times a week, irregardless of what I'm doing. I go to a lot of lunches and a lot of dinners. I eat at restaurants a lot. I take her to the restaurant. Nothing about my life has changed. I'm not going out of my way. I'm not making specific time for her. I'm not trying my best to take her on dates and show her a good time. What I'm doing is I'm adding her into my normal everyday life. Now, to me, I'm f***ing my girls, I have my girlfriends, my relationships, I'm getting my sex, I'm having my drinks, I'm getting my sex, my friends. Nothing has changed in my life apart from there's some quiet girl next to me half the time when I'm out and I would otherwise be alone. But to her, in her mindset, Tristan is my boyfriend.
These YouTubers will talk about traditionalism and how you need to be a traditional man, but then they'll go to other countries, they'll have traditional countries, and they'll go and they'll use that and subvert it for themselves. They'll corrupt it themselves. You can say you don't care. Look, remember that video of those black guys and they went into the child's room? I forgot where it was. I'll put the clip up.
Your son said he loved me. Like a 13-year-old, look.
He's really hot. He's really mean.
Wake your ass up, G. I'm at your mama's house. Hey.
Go back to sleep, Keegan.
He too young.
After doing it with the mom, wherever they went into the kid's room, and like, bro, this just promotes degeneracy. We need to stop it. Not just a girl problem, it's a guy and girl problem, because these are going to be the future wives of the next generation, of our generation. Our kids are going to grow up with their kids. Like, I don't think you understand. This is a us problem. Promoting this hookup culture on both sides is what's going to be killing the West. Sure, Tate's married. You can even try and argue that to the most extreme cases. Cool. But Tristan has zero excuse. He's a playboy, right? He can do whatever he wants. He can attract any girl he wants. He's made loads of courses and all of that stuff. But where's the wife? Huh? It's not like he's young. He's pushing 40. He's 35. That's basically 80 years old. Come on. Why not settle down? It's because he can't. He's still on that egotistical treadmill. He's still on that hedonic treadmill. And they won't say this, they don't admit this, but they're sex addicted. Which is the actual reason why he slipped up and he had a kid.
I'm the kind of guy that if you break up with me, you've got about 24 hours to make up with me, or there's going to be somebody else in my bed. Don't break up with me for stupid reasons. And this girl understood this very well. So essentially, we broke it up, start sleeping with other women, obviously, get back with this girl for about 2 days. And then this girl I was sleeping with says she's pregnant. And I'm like, oh, well, that's interesting. It's an interesting situation to be in. So I straight out tell my girlfriend at the time, yeah, this girl's pregnant. And she basically gave me the choice. Well, okay, fine. Tell her to get rid of it and then we'll stay together. I'm like, oh, I see. So you think I'm going to literally a child for a woman who breaks up with me because of stupid reasons like this? I said no. That was the choice I made. It was hard losing her, but it wasn't a hard choice. It was the easiest choice in the world. And now I have my daughter.
Now those are just the modern examples. Let's go back to the people who even started and pioneered the pickup artist era, the whole self-improvement. Neil Strauss, Rollo Tomasi. You know, coincidentally, Hamza actually recommended the book that Rollo Tomasi made on the game. It's called The Rational Male, and he actually had it in his affiliate marketing store. A lot of the game that he taught on his channel actually came from that book. Now, I don't expect you to know these guys. I had to research all these old niggas. Don't worry. But the main thing is we need to know the outcome of these guys. What is the correlation between people who sleep around, they preach this idea of you need loads of experience to even get with women and attract women? Let's see, right? So Neil Strauss, he actually proved me wrong. He actually got married, right? He has a wife and kids and everything. Now Rollo Tomasi is different. I'm joking, I lied about Neil Strauss. You thought it was a happy ending? No, he got completely divorced. He lost his child as well, and coincidentally, he was also a polygamy supporter. He was also a complete sex addict. We think that Andrew is living the perfect marriage with 11 different women. It's just perfect. There's going to be no problems, and that it's just going to be smooth sailing. Get real. Now, Rollo Tomasi is still trying to cling on to his fame. He's been saying the same stuff that he's been saying for years, and he's just trying to cling onto his old coattails. Washed up old man, no marriage, no kids.
Are you serious, my brother?
Guy with a bunch of stories and nothing to show for it. Is this the sort of guy you want to be? All of these guys had the riches, the fame, but never got to the goal of actually getting girls. The goal, your goal, getting a wife, having kids, but you're different. You don't need a male hoe face, because that's all this is. That's all this is. It's a male hoe face. It's the same thing as the whole female empowerment movement. It's a male hoe face. You don't need one. And when these guys actually get called out by people who aren't OnlyFans models, who dropped out of high school young, right? They get completely corned. And it shows their ridiculous worldview and the holes and the contradictions that they say. Play the clip, man.
Can I ask you one more question?
Fire away.
Okay. Why don't you just commit to one and choose to be faithful to her?
I'm just not wired that way. I spent my whole 20s trying to fix myself.
You're a man of self-control. You work out, you do business. You can possess your own power.
It's just not how I am.
I think that might be a limited mindset.
I think it's none of your business. I had a clip that went viral. It was a clip that went viral on a dating show for 25 million. And I was just getting hate because it was a Christian lady. And somebody asked me about it on one of my podcasts and they gave me a layup to shit on her. And I just refused to do it because I like a lot of things that lady says. And I think if I were to meet that woman outside of that, I think it's none of your business.
And now my second point. The game.
Why do you care? It doesn't matter, I'm gonna settle down eventually. Just having some fun, right?
The effects of trying to maximize the amount of women that you sleep with is that it becomes harder to see them as actual women, as actual people that you're gonna have and try to have a relationship with and have children with for your entire life. It starts to become an ego point game. First it becomes the first one you have sex with, you lose your virginity. Wow, you tell the boys in the GC, right, it was amazing. And then what? You continue. It gets more and more, it stacks up, it never stops. No, but I'm young, you just need to live a little bit of life, man. You have to live a little. Guys will say they don't care about this, but they do care. They compare body counts, they compare attractiveness of the women that they have sex with. Come on, guys. We're not gonna act like we don't care. We're not gonna act like this doesn't fuel our egos. It's literally just running on that hedonic treadmill, chasing that dopamine, chasing that sex. You start to view it as a game. There's a reason it's called the game. Guys literally refer it to as the game. The game to you and your ego, and see, push the limit. See how attractive of a girl you can sleep with. See how many you can sleep with. How many times you can do it consistently. You see this, it's increasing in even movies, pop culture. Our entire culture in the West is now just centered around sex. Deep the amount of movies that we watched when we were a kid versus now. The amount of movies now and shows that just have sex scenes. It's just softcore porn now. It is corn. It is porn. You even see it in our memes. The whole no bitches. Like, come on. This whole thing is pushed. There's an agenda. And this shows with the evidence that we see with both genders when it comes to marriage, when it comes to divorce, when it comes to satisfaction being in a relationship. The more men and women sleep around, the less satisfaction, the more divorce rate. Everything just falls apart. Broken families, horrible marriages. Every single pickup artist who founded this whole thing, who founded the red pill, all of them, and it's not even just one, all of them are washed up, all of them failed in their entire goal, the reason why this was started. We even have our most modern examples. Hamza, have all the experience, have all the game he's consumed. His parties in uni, going on dates with multiple girls. The girl he wanted to settle down with finally. We're about to see it come full circle. He was going to settle down in some log cabin on the countryside and finally become a father. Yes, but no. We see the same pattern again that supports the trend. Another failed 3-year plus relationship. What has he got back to now? Partying again, picking up girls, having sex with as many women as he can. He literally said it himself in the video. It's boring. Once you have left that high stimulatory life, that high lifestyle that's pushed in the movies, the Project X's, the partying lifestyle, you can't go back to normal. Your dopamine receptors, they lust for more stimulation. That's why eventually all these guys, they love to support polygamy, because you can only get that with multiple women, with loads of sources of different sorts of stimulation. But you're gonna be different, right? Get real. Now the main reason as well I love this happened is again because the game, it's an addiction. It becomes fun. It's like literally being in a game, you get good at it, you get to polish your craft. There becomes like a certain finesse to it. So people make videos, they make memes comparing it to literal football, to comparing it to basketball, comparing it to sports, because it's a craft. Settling down, it ruins all the fun.
We get into the fact that basically you're classified as a mammal. And technically speaking, rats are also mammals. But since we're on Team Human, we don't want to do potentially unethical testing on ourselves. So instead we do a lot of testing on rats because they spawn quickly, they're inexpensive, they're easy to house. Most importantly though, they're very closely related to us in terms of biological and genetic makeup. And for that reason, you can replicate a lot of symptoms of the human condition in rats. And there's something observed in rats, but also in many other mammals, that has been called the Coolidge effect. And it is an example of how continuous sexual novelty can drive the behavior of mammals. So if you take a male rat, put him in a cage with a female rat, he's gonna assert himself because rats don't have a Me Too movement, and he will continue to assert himself until he gets bored. And even, if the female rat is like, what are we? He'll just be done. He'll be totally bored with her, doesn't want anything to do with her. But then if you throw in a different female rat, he will reassert himself with her until he gets bored again. You can literally repeat this process with new female rats until the male rat collapses from exhaustion. This is because his top genetic priority is reproduction, and new female rats allow him to do that. Now, of course, human beings are a bit more sophisticated than rats. We actually have a Me Too movement. Our mating process is more complex, and we're part of the about 5% of mammals with the capacity for long-term bonds. But our brains are still affected by the Coolidge effect, which gets its name from President Calvin Coolidge, based, and the story goes that he was touring a farm with his wife. The takeaway is that continuous sexual novelty tends to drive the behavior of mammals, with the idea being that your best case scenario for continuing the bloodline is if every female is pregnant. Now, young man, this desire that you have to get every female pregnant arises largely from a chemical called dopamine. And dopamine amps up the centerpiece of a very primitive part of your brain known as the reward circuitry, which is where you get your cravings and your pleasure, but also your addictions. This part of your brain is what makes you want to do the things that keep you alive and get women pregnant, basically. As a human, your list of priorities are like food, sex, love, friendship, novelty. These are called natural rewards, and they are different from addictive chemicals. But the problem is that addictive chemicals can hijack the same circuitry in your brain as we talked about earlier. So the whole reason that you have dopamine is to motivate you to do whatever serves those interests, basically. Lots of dopamine when you eat candy, not a whole lot when you eat cauliflower. That's just the way it works. Tells you where to direct your attention and what to pursue. And it also helps you remember those things by rewiring your brain via new or stronger nerve connections. And sexual stimulation and orgasm add up to the biggest natural release of dopamine and opioids available to your reward circuitry, so you can start to see why we need to be careful. Because a lot of people describe dopamine as the pleasure chemical. That's not actually accurate, because it's much more about seeking and searching for that pleasure, not the pleasure in itself. As you get closer, your dopamine rises with anticipation, and it motivates you to keep going towards whatever you want, whether that's immediate pleasure or a long-term goal. And it does this by attaching to receptors in your brain to stimulate electrical impulses. What you end up feeling as the actual pleasure is the release of the opioids, which also bind to the receptors in the reward circuitry of your brain. So dopamine compels you to find water, and then opioids are the relief feeling that you get upon quenching your thirst. Dopamine is what makes you want to get the female pregnant. Opioids are the feeling that you get upon doing so. You get the point. Dopamine makes you want stuff. Opioids make you like stuff. But the problem with that is that they aren't so easily separated in our brains. So dopamine causes us to desire and seek things, but dopamine is also a stronger system than our opioid system, which means that we're always seeking more than we are satisfied. And the reason for that is that seeking and desiring is more likely to keep us alive than just sitting around satiated, satisfied in a daze doing nothing. But the problem is that this imbalance, when overstimulated, leads ultimately to addiction, because the desires and the cravings increase while the pleasure you get decreases. So you want something more and more, but you don't like it as much as you used to, so you compensate by craving more of it, and the cycle continues. Another thing that we mentioned earlier that plays a big role here is novelty. That's the Coolidge effect. Dopamine surges for novelty. Without novelty, it diminishes over time. They've done studies where they'll show a group of men part of an X-rated movie and measure their dopamine, and it gets lower every time they play it back, and then they play part of a different one and it shoots right back up. And it's also true that men will ejaculate faster in greater volume and with faster sperm when viewing a new naked girl pretty as opposed to the same one.
Them constant 10 out of 10s that they can play cat and mouse with, chase and be chased with. Got that fiery back talk who knows all the tricks in the bed. That's not to say you can't have a beautiful wife who knows all the tricks in marriage, right? This isn't to say that you can't have a wife who's good at the game as well, that you can have that back talk with, that actual game with in marriage, right? But what comes with game? What comes with experience with the game? I just said it, experience. And what happens? What happens to girls who get experience? Yeah, body, yep. Exactly. The problem never ends. There's no good trying to sleep with as many women as you can for experience. Not only the points I've made, you will end up with a child. Men greater than you, men who have more experience than you, men who have been more careful than you have ended up with a child. What's to say that you won't? What's to say that on your first try, you don't mess up, you get a child? Because we know it's not 100% efficient with a condom. There's a 15% chance. You know how high those chances are. We've gambled, we've played those microtransaction games. Come on now. 15% is actually insane. Even the man, your god, the king, Tristan Tate, he still got a kid. Even how he's careful. He has more to lose than you do, and he still got a kid. I'll just be safe and use a condom every time. First of all, again, it's not 100% chance that you're not going to have a child every time you use a condom. It's 85% chance that you're safe. That 15%. And every guy who's used a condom and who hasn't used a condom, you know, that's all I'm going to say. If right now you're struggling on NoFap, what's to say that when you're in there, you're just going to be methodical all the time, you're going to be 100% disciplined, right? My pull-out game strong, You're just going to pull out the right second all the time, every single time when it feels so good? Get real. But what about birth control? Imagine as a man, you had to take a pill. Now, I'm not appealing to women here. I'm just getting you to see the severity of these pills and the disastrous effects it's going to have not only the women, but our children, the future generation, because epigenetics play to a fact as well. I'm not just saying big words, because such are what that means, mate. Like, imagine as a man, you had to take a pill, and this pill completely destroys your testosterone all throughout puberty, which permanently changes not only your facial structure and not only your actual genetic profile, but your brain as well. It feminizes your brain, it stops your sperm from producing, and it makes it harder for you to have an orgasm. Now, I know I'll be damned if I take a pill like that. So why are we letting our future wives take pills like this? For years. Years. And it's not only that, those are just some of them. There's literal effects where people will be on the pill for extended periods of time. They'll have a relationship, they'll have a marriage with the guy, but they'll go off the pill to have a child. And because of how seriously the pill affects your brain and affects your preferences in men, they won't like you anymore. Like they'll literally look. Just show the clip, man.
Dr. Sarah Hill wrote a book, This Is Your Brain on Birth Control. She's an evolutionary psychologist, but it's really wild. I think a friend has a great question, which is what is currently being ignored by the media but will be studied by historians? It's a nice frame of what are we kind of overlooking at the moment. And I really think that hormonal birth control will be one of those things. That there was a recent Scandinavian study that looked at, we've got this declining female mental health problem, especially among young girls. Like 40% of American teenage girls have persistent or regular feelings of hopelessness. It's like this real macabre, apocalyptic sort of language. The change that women have in the kind of partners that they go for, both on and off of birth control, the level of testosterone that they prefer in a man's t-shirt, at the same time, the libido and the sexual, not only libido, their level of sexual satisfaction with their partner, which also is indicative of partner choice and how effective that is. And I mean, you may or may not have heard these stories, but so many stories of women who get into a relationship with their partner when they're on, get married, decide that they're going to then have children, come off, and are like, I'm not really that attracted to my partner anymore. They sort of exit this hormonal fugue state and their kind of eyes are open. And it's not a comment on their partner particularly, it's just that they're in a very different hormonal profile.
Finding studies that the children that you have with women who are on the pill have a higher chance for having eggs with defects, to birth children with defects. As long as I can get my nut off, right? Rather than toy about having a child. Come on, man. Come on, guys. It's pathetic, bro. This goes on to my third reason why this mindset is bad, why this whole mindset that's being preached on self-improvement is horrible. Guys are literally having intercourse with the chances for babies being produced with women they wouldn't even want to marry in 100 years. But she's kind of bad though, right? Guys will go for women purely off attractiveness, sleep with them, not knowing their morals, not knowing their values, the repercussions that this could have. That girl, that picture that I showed on screen, she was kind of bad, right? Well, this is her. And guys will have sex with one of these women and then, pregnant. The consequences of my actions. You had sex with random women without assessing her morals and her values, and then you're suddenly surprised when, she's not actually a good person. She's trying to be vindictive and she's trying to get all the child support money. She's just a horrible person in general. This is what happens when men are ruled by lust. This is what happens when there's no God in the society. But I'll get to that in late parts of it. In the cowardice of some of these men, they don't want to own up to the consequences of their actions. Consequences of their actions. They want to pressure the woman into killing the child instead. At least Tristan Tate, he's an actual man. He had the honor of not killing his unborn child.
It's just a clump of cells, bro.
But not all men have that honor. Go and Google an image of an aborted fetus. Coincidentally, you'll find that it doesn't look like a clump of cells. It kind of looks like a baby. And you see what ends up happening is a single mother can't raise a kid properly. She has to work larger hours, multiple jobs. She can't actually raise the kid properly and be at home. Dad most of the time runs off. He can't actually commit to the consequences of his actions and be a man. This kid starts to develop poor values because they're being raised by the world. They're being raised by TV. They're being raised by social media. They're being raised by what they see on YouTube. Let's say it's a girl. Society tells her it's okay. She starts sleeping around in her youth. It's okay, just have a little bit of fun, right? Live a little bit of life, man. You have to live a little. She slowly starts to become a degenerate. She loves it. She loves the feeling of sex. She loves going around having sex all the time, right? And she ends up sleeping with another degenerate. And then she gets pregnant. The consequences of my actions. Then the cycle repeats. This is what happens when God is thrown out of society, when it's thrown out of the West, when it's subverted. Sex should only be done in marriage. We all actually know this deep down. We know this would fix 90% of the problems, but no one wants to say it. Everyone wants to still follow their desires. They want to follow the desires of the world, right? This would literally fix everything. Because of how society is now, there are more STDs, more abortions, more out of wedlock births, which leads to high amounts of poverty, single motherhood, and crime, and then the cycle continues. It gets worse and worse. I remember I was watching a degeneracy vid on why and how bad the child support system is in America, and even in most countries, on how unfair the laws are. Back then I was like, wow man, it's so bad. They're all against men. You know how to fix this though? Maybe stop having sex. Stop having sex outside of marriage. Stop having sex with women you wouldn't want to marry in 1,000 years. Stop being a degenerate and having sex with degenerate women. But there's no point to marriage. Now all the girls in the West, they're just whores. Again, you know how to fix that. Bring back God to society. When everyone went to church and actually had good value. When everyone did this, there was an abundance of good women, because you know that they'd be raised with good traditional values because they went to church. They did the things that they needed to do. You wouldn't be scared that she's cheating behind your back or that her body counts 50, because it would show in her day-to-day actions, aka going to church, not just sitting in her room reading the Bible and then doing the other things that she wants to do, living for this world.
I know many girls who are Christian, but they still do.
You see, those are Protestants. That's Protestantism. It's diluted Christianity. To accommodate everyone, they've diluted Christianity, and what is produced is literal atheist factories.
The name of Jesus.
Oh, thank you, Jesus.
Oh, shit. Here we go again.
Standing in the office of the prophet of God, I execute judgment on you, COVID-19. I execute judgment on you, Satan. You get out. You break your power. You get off this nation. I demand judgment on you. I demand a vaccination to come immediately.
Yes.
Thank you, Jesus. Sure, there you go. You got it. Ho, fire's on you. Ho.
No more.
No more. No more.
No more. Is finished.
Finished.
It is over.
Stop the cap.
And then you
Stop the cap right now.
That's all you see in the West nowadays. It's an offshoot of the real, authentic, orthodox Christianity. Now here's a part of the video where I'm going to get you to challenge your worldview. Wherever you are, whether Protestant, you're Catholic, you're atheist, I'm going to get you to challenge your worldview right now. You shouldn't be scared to look at other people's opinions. You shouldn't be scared to look at other views. Think critically. Think like the Stoics from before, the philosophers, men greater than us from before, and actually analyze the points I'm about to say. Because I'm about to say a lot of stuff that a lot of people isn't going to like, and that's going to challenge a lot of worldviews. Because this is what a society with no God turns into. Because with no God, if we're just evolved monkeys floating through some rock in space, then atheism will always lead to nihilism. It always does. It can't lead to anything else, because what's the point? If nothing matters and I'll just follow the route of pleasure, I'll do what I want to do. I'll hop on a hedonic treadmill. That's what they're trying to get you to do. You see this with consumerism. Give them bread and circuses and they'll never revolt. They want you easy to be controlled. This is literally how Tate forged his worldview when back in the day he was an atheist. That's why society is heading in this direction. And I know this is just meant to be some niche sort of self-improvement video. Why self-improvement is bad, but we're going to talk into deeper things because it all links together. I'm going to go in real depth. That's why like this video is so long, and why I'm going to really go in and emphasize this point. It's an important video. This isn't because theists and people who believe in God are just too scared to admit that we're just on a flying rock. Well, the atheists are the real real truth seekers, we really want to find the truth, and we will admit that there's nothing and nothing really matters. Look, let me just show you a video. I completely refuse these points. Let me just show you.
Most pop atheist arguments aren't even arguments. They are just rhetoric, because the reality is that rhetoric convinces most people. And so the argument I want to talk about today is, oh, you're just afraid to admit that everything's meaningless. Me, the atheist truth seeker, I'm willing to seek truth at all costs. And I found out that everything's meaningless. And you're just scared to admit that because you're a weak person. Christian, religious people, you're just weak. You're scared of the truth. So you lie to yourself and make fairy tales. And these fairy tales are comforting lies to make religious people feel better because they can't handle the truth because they're just weak. Now, there's lots of ways to respond to this. First, on the one hand, atheists will say this, oh, Christians are weak. They make up these comforting lies about religion. But then on the other hand, they will also say that the only reason people are religious is because they are so scared of hell. I'm speaking about you, Holy Kool-Aid.
How has this disaster spread so far and wide? Well, one way is through emotional trauma and fear, instilling in people the fear of eternal damnation. Entire countries have adopted Christianity as part of their culture, fearing that the alternative was divine wrath here on earth in addition to the eternal torturous hellfire of the hereafter. Fear is an extremely powerful tool.
So which one is it? Are Christians just so scared of hell, or do we make up these lies for comfort? It can't be both. And I could just reverse this argument. Oh, you're only an atheist because you're weak. You don't want to be judged by God. You don't want to be held accountable. So you take the easy way out by denying the existence of God, because recognizing that there is God means that everything that you do has consequences and you can go to hell. Another way to respond is, I could be the weakest person. It doesn't mean Christianity is false. I could believe something true for bad reasons. Maybe I'm a weak person and somehow that leads me to Christianity. Okay, that doesn't mean Christianity is false. You need to demonstrate that Christianity is false. This is not an argument against Christianity. Again, it's just rhetoric. And if the atheist wants to say that everything is meaningless and I'm just afraid to admit that, this is how a wise man responded. He's asked the atheist, well, you think the universe is meaningless? The atheist said, yes. So you think your life is meaningless? Yes. So you think this conversation we're having right now is meaningless? Yes. Okay, so any argument you make is meaningless. And the atheist was hesitant. They were afraid to admit that because it shows a logical contradiction. If there is no meaning, then your arguments have no meaning. And this shows the absurdity of nihilism, believing that everything is meaningless by taking it to its logical conclusion. How can we make sentences truth? How do we have knowledge if everything is just random and chaos? It contradicts. And the atheists may lie to themselves and say, we can't have meaning, we can't have purpose, we can't have ethics, we can't have all these things and still be atheists. But the reality is that atheism always leads to nihilism.
They want you to be easily controlled, brother. There's a reason why agnostics and atheists have some of the lowest birth rates. It's pretty much population control, and no, this isn't because the world is getting overpopulated. In fact, we've seen in a lot of countries and nations that's actually becoming underpopulated. South Korea, Japan, like they have the highest amounts of technology and all this stuff. It's like an atheist society. There's no God, and yet they're having the lowest birth rates. Like literally, they're having people coming from other countries to try and boost up the birth rates. Like, are you not seeing something here? But anyways, around the mid 2000s, there was a surge in pop atheists on the media and on YouTube in general. And I know we're getting off topic, but this is relevant, trust me. And because of this movement, this huge movement of atheism, like you see the four horsemen of atheism. You see Richard Dawkins, Sam Harris, Christopher Hitchens, and Daniel Dennett. And these four horsemen push this new atheism movement into the media and onto YouTube, which caused people to have these horrible fallacious arguments. All their arguments just appeal to emotion. They had horrible logical fallacies in them. And if you really want to do your research, if you actually want to look at this, see the points and refuting them, see the debates, I can literally show you a place. I can link a playlist in my description. I can show you a bunch of videos with all their points being refuted. I'm sure you've heard some of these, and you probably have these presuppositions and these questions already. Like,
if God real, why bad thing happen? Religion bad. It make people do bad things. See, look, 9/11. If religion were not here, the world would be a 10 times better place. Religion has no scientific backing, no evidence Religion is false. I can't see God in my test tube. Can't see him in my microscope. God ain't real, stop praying to Sky Daddy.
And even more that I'm sure you've heard of. And these points can be refuted extremely easily. I'm just going to put a video up of literally a lot of these points being refuted easily.
And today we're going to be watching 20 arguments to not believe in God. Let's see what he has to say.
There's no evidence.
Wrong. There's no evidence? I mean, I guess if you ignore all of the ancient world and all of history, there's no evidence. There is so much evidence that Jesus Christ really did exist and that he really was crucified and that he came back. The Gospels are the best recorded document from the ancient world, and they are a historical document. And not only that, but we can prove God with philosophy, with transcendental argumentation. See, the problem is that the atheist thinks that, oh, we prove it by a telescope. If I look into my telescope and I see an old man in the sky, there's God. I can verify it. That's how you prove it. I look in the test tube. Oh, I see God. So not everything is proven in the same way. This is the crackers in the pantry fallacy. God, again, revealed himself in history.
God doesn't stop the evil in the world. In fact, if you read the Bible, God committed plenty of it.
Evil. There's no evil on atheism. You cannot derive an ought from an is. There is no evil. There is no good on atheism. There is only what is. Your atheist presupposition's evil. There is no evil. There is no bad. It's your subjective taste preference. It's completely ad hoc. What you think is evil, God is perfectly good. Anything God did was good. There is no good, there is no evil on atheism. There can only ever be what is. It will always be a non sequitur from you to say, oh, this is evil. Okay, where's the evil? I don't see a study on the evil. Can I look in a telescope and see the evil? Can I look in a microscope and where's the evil?
Drowning just about everything alive? Not a sign of love.
The world was incredibly evil before the flood. Everyone knew about Noah's ark. Only the righteous and good actually believed in Noah and got on the ark.
The opening lines of the Bible are factually wrong. Why should we believe the rest of it?
How are they factually wrong? He doesn't explain how it's factually wrong. That's just your interpretation. Nothing about Genesis is factually wrong.
Prayer has never fixed anything physically impossible. Why won't God heal amputees?
Jesus came and literally healed amputees. He healed so many people. There's so many miracles in the Old Testament and the New, and there's still miracles to this day that happen because of prayer, because prayer can change the world.
There are thousands of gods you don't believe in. What makes yours any different?
This is a word concept fallacy. There's a difference between gods and the one true God, the one omni-God. So these other gods are demons and idols. They are created, versus the one true God, Yahweh, the Trinity, is uncreated. He is the omni-God. These are demons and idols. They are not all powerful. They are created. It's not so much that, oh, I'm an atheist. It's that they are not the true God. There is only one God. Again, this is the word concept fallacy. It's not an argument.
Where you're born essentially determines what you believe. Why should the truth be based on geography?
The same thing is true with atheism. If I'm born in an atheist country, I'm going to probably be an atheist. If I'm born in a country that teaches calculus, I'm probably going to believe in calculus. If I'm born in a Christian country, I'm probably going to be Christian. It doesn't deal with the true or falsity of any of the beliefs. It's just a description. This isn't even an argument. He's saying, oh, you were born in a certain country and you have these certain beliefs. Okay, that's a description. What does that have to do with the true or falsity of Christianity? Just because, oh, you're born to have certain beliefs, therefore there's no truth. This literally is not an argument.
Who created God?
God's uncreated.
Pediatric cancer.
How does that disprove God? On Christianity, we can explain we live in a fallen world. You can read the story of Job, why bad things happen to good people. On atheism, it's a completely meaningless, nothingness universe. There is no good, there is no evil. What's wrong with that? It's just, we're just bags of meat. Why does any of that matter? We're basically just biological robots.
Unconditional love shouldn't come with a list of conditions.
This is his personal incredulity. Oh, it should be this way. Okay, it's not up to you to decide what unconditional love is. I mean, if someone really loves you, wouldn't they do something to show the works that they love you? I mean, unconditional love. God loves you no matter what. And that love is going to feel painful if you reject God. And the conditions is because God wants what's best for you, just like your father, your mother wants what's best for you. You know, they give you, they want you to live a certain way. If you just live in rejection of them, it's going to hurt your relationship. God does love you unconditionally, just like your parents hopefully do. But depending on how you love them back, it's just going to make it more difficult. And like having those rules are to show that you love God. God gave us those rules because he loves us.
Every single supposed miracle gets debunked eventually.
Wrong. Every miracle gets debunked eventually. The miracles of Jesus haven't been debunked. The Old Testament miracles have been debunked. There are so many miracles that haven't been debunked. Again, this is just completely arbitrary. It's not an argument.
Somehow, the 10 Commandments left off, don't rape people, and slavery's not okay.
It's implied in the 10 Commandments, and Jesus came and said, love your neighbor as yourself. He clarified all the teachings. He's the fulfillment of the law. We have the church that made clear teachings on this. How did we get rid of slavery? It was because of Christianity. And on atheism, why is any of that bad? There is no bad on atheism. Atheism didn't cause the abandonment of those. If we lived in an atheist society, there's nothing good or bad about those.
And because of rhetoric that they use to deceive people, a lot of people thought these were great arguments and that this is valid. Like, religion is nothing. Because if you're raised in the West, that's all you know of Christianity. A weak, love everyone, lukewarm religion. Just accept everyone, tolerate everything. Which is why we see Christianity in the West is declining at a rapid rate, because they don't stand for anything anymore. They don't stand for anything. They've been taken over by liberal powers completely. And if you want to put your full faith into something, you don't want to believe like you're getting conned. You don't want to think you're getting conned. But later on in the video, I'm going to explain in a bit more detail about Orthodox Christianity, ancient Orthodox Christianity that hasn't changed since the traditions of the first 1,500 years when the church was actually together, when we was one. Hasn't been swayed by the LGBTQ movement, hasn't been taking in more things, hasn't been innovating, it stayed to its tradition. And my goal is to get you to question your presuppositions that you have, whether you're Protestant, Catholic, atheist. You need to question and challenge your beliefs in order to grow as a person. No matter if I bring 100% perfect argument for orthodoxy on the spot, you're not going to just radically change your beliefs. That's not how humans work. We're not robots. You need time to discern and research using truth and reasoning. My goal is to lead you to the water. I can't force you to drink it. Learn more, question your beliefs, and seek truth. The truth always wins out in the end. Think a smoker doesn't know that smoking is bad for him. You can bring up 10,000 studies on why smoking is bad for him. You can read all of them, but that doesn't mean he's going to stop smoking. Same thing with a fat person. You don't think that they know being fat is unhealthy. It's a matter of comfort. Staying in that echo chamber, staying in that comfort zone. People say they want to grow, but in order for you to grow, the old you has to die. Those people are afraid of death. Now back onto the main topic. These are the fruits of God in society when it comes to relationship, when it comes to the family. And then this is the fruits of atheism. I'm not a Puritan. I don't think you should stay pure 100%. Sex isn't bad. The purpose of sex is to create children. It's holy. It's amazing. It's to literally create life, my brother. Therefore, you should only have sex with someone you want to create a family with, aka marry. And if you're dating someone right now that you'd want to have a family with, then just get married. Oh, that's right. You're not ready. Instead of dating for 2 years, 3 years, pretending and living together, pretending like you're married, faking the marriage, why don't you actually just get married? You know you can't get married because you're not ready. You're not the man that you need to be. You don't need to play pretend marriage for 2 years and then get a cat or a dog. But no, people want to play marriage, they want to pretend and be in a relationship and do all the stuff, but they don't actually get married. They're not ready. You're not the man you want to be yet. You don't have the resources, you don't have the wisdom, you don't have the character, and you know it. But you still want to have sex, you still want to be in a relationship, you just want to fill in that void. My testosterone makes me horny. I'm a high T male. I need to do this, do that. And then why didn't the men, generations before us, who had 3 times the testosterone of men today, do what we're doing now? Why weren't they just going around sleeping with loads of women? If that's the case, seems like you're horny and you just can't control your lust. Stop coping. If you don't want to wait till you're 30 and you want to speed this process up a bit, well then hurry up. Man up. Become a man, not just for you and yourself and your ego. Become a man for your family.
Can I run every single day you run?
You want to run with me every day?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I get strong like you. I don't have those bumps yet. I feel no bumps.
No bumps? No bumps on your arms yet?
Nope.
You got to keep going every day, a little bit. I love you, bud.
Dad,
Yeah?
I would like to do two runs in one day.
I mean, if you want to.
Family. Become the man that you want to be. Fulfill your potential. And this is the key goal with self-improvement that should be. Comes round full circle of what self-improvement should be about. Your self-improvement needs to be based on a purpose bigger than yourself. Too many people, too many men have this God-shaped hole in their heart in the form of purpose. We need to feed her the hedonic pleasures of this world. All men need to be billionaires. All men need to be alpha males. Have sex with as much women as you want. Come on, man. Too many people, too many men want to have sex, but they're not ready. They're not ready for the responsibility, not ready for kids, not ready for none of that. Because you know, deep down, if you got a girl pregnant right now, it would be over. And I'm not taking the moral high ground here. I'm no guru. I am you. I am you. I'm literally young like you. We are in the same boat, brother. That's why I need to get this message out to people on self-improvement. This is perhaps the most important video I've ever made on this channel. In fact, it is. Path for self-improvement isn't for you and yourself. It's for things greater than you are. Family, God, fulfilling your potential as a man. It's not the 1950s anymore. People want to have fun. You need to live a little bit. Now, are people really happy running on this hedonic treadmill? You want to be on that treadmill where you have a bit of fun. You know, the dopamine spikes high and then it comes back low. In fact, it goes lower than the baseline than you're already at. It's just more and more and more and more. You're like a rat. It's on the treadmill. You need more women, more beautiful women, more money, more cars, more. I need more stimulation, and that's what ends up being. Chase pleasure, live life, do what makes you feel good. Come on, man. Even we're on self-improvement, we know this isn't always true. Just because it feels good doesn't mean that it's actually good. Delayed gratification, we know this. So why don't you apply this to all areas of your life instead of saying, okay, you know, that's good for the gym and stuff, but you know, women and stuff, I can go and still have sex with all the women I want to. Discipline yourself. Come on. The higher your body count, the higher chance you will divorce in the future. For both men and women, the less sexual satisfaction you'll have with your eventual wife, and the less marital satisfaction you have with your wife. Again, for both men and women. Of course, the Tates have great messages, good messages. They still do. Of course, Hamza has good messages, had great messages. Being able to discern from the truth, using your own reasoning and logic, and not just blindly following, is what's needed. The law, 48 laws of power. Law 48. Be formless. Take all you need from others and discard the stuff that you don't need. Learn to think for yourself. This is why every man needs to be a thinker, a man well versed in thinking and philosophy. But that's a vid for another day. Because you see, I didn't do this. Back in the Tate prime, right? Back in the Tate rise, I was almost about to become Muslim because of the multiple wives concept. No joke. And because my Christianity was completely fading from not only what I saw in my life in general and just in the West in general, it's just completely fading. I agreed with Tate, yeah, he's making sense. Christianity has become completely diluted in the West, right? They just party all the time, reject their own faith. You know, the Muslims are way more disciplined. This doesn't deal with the actual true or falsity of Christianity, by the way, but it was just an argument that he made, another false, fallacious argument. Because we literally see this again with most Muslims in the West. A lot of them drink, they go to parties, they do stuff that they're not meant to do and that they know they're not meant to do. But then for Ramadan, that's when they lock in. See, in the West, Islam is becoming more secularized now, even more so than Christianity. In fact, due to the Sharia law of the death penalty, which is what happens when you actually leave the religion, most of them move and they flee from their states. They flee from the Sharia law states because these states, the places where Sharia law is in contact, they're not actually good places to live.
Our law, though, is heavily dictated on the Bible, right? The 10 Commandments, thou shalt not steal, kill, murder, covet. It wasn't dictated on the Sharia law. And in fact, most Muslim countries, man, you can Google this. Don't take anything of what I'm saying. Google all this. The majority of Muslim countries with Sharia law are miserable. They hate it. They're the most unhappy countries in the world. And that's why millions of them, they flee, bro. They're refugees and they come here for a better life. And I just find as a Christian, I find it very hypocritical and almost dangerous that Muslims will come to our countries but then say, no, Sharia law is better. You need to, Islam's the way. How am I supposed to believe that if you fled from your country due to our Judeo-Christian values?
You see them smoking, doing drugs, having sex before marriage. Well, but no, they do not eat pork. That's from my experience with a lot of Muslims, my friends and stuff. They'll do everything but eat pork. I saw the appeal of having multiple wives in Islam as well, right? Thought it was kind of cool, yeah, high T-male, you're a king, have multiple wives. Yeah, kings of the past, whatever, right? A few Muslim friends, they were convincing me I was almost about to do it because it completely fitted my own worldview of what I thought a man should be and what a lot of people think a man should be. Christianity didn't feel right to me. It felt watered down. It felt diluted. And I knew it. I felt it. Never fully made the change, but I was really considering it. Then skip a few months, I see on Reels, I'm scrolling through Reels, and I see a video of a guy called Father Spreiden. He was a wise man, and he made me question a lot of the beliefs that I actually had. And again, it actually made me see a lot of the true things in Christianity. It reinstated my hope. in the faith. Then I liked of it. I started seeing more and more of his wise words in my feed. I started seeing more and more and more. Then I was fully convinced. I'm not gonna lie, I completely rejected the whole Islam thing. That was long gone. But I was still convinced something was wrong. Like, I knew something. This can't be the same as this. You get what I mean? I know they all 30,000 denominations can't be true. And how do you discern the true teachings and traditions from the wrong teachings and traditions? You have to appeal to history. You have to go back in history and see what the early church taught, which is what I did. I tried to find why there was even a split in the first place, why we have so many denominations. I watched a video on the Great Schism, how it happened, and it wasn't even like a biased video either. It was literally just a historical account of what happened. And I was like, damn, well, the Catholics changed the creed. They had no reason to do that. Why they do that? And then I looked more into Orthodoxy, right? And then everything, like, when I tell you the dots start to connect, I was really like, what's that? I pulled up the Sagami. After looking at the actual Christian law, after just doing even the research I've done now, it's quite detailed, but it's still brief compared to the stuff that I have. Like, the mountain that I need to learn is so great. But yeah, after I started doing some more research, I started realizing a lot of bad stuff and why a lot of stuff has been changed. And the fact that all Protestants, you don't even have the full Bible. See, in the 1500s, a man called Martin Luther took 7 books out of the Bible. He just took them out on his own accord. Check it right now. In the Bible that you have, go and check the nearest Bible that you have. Hold on, let me even pull up the big one, right? Let's look. Let's see which 7 books in this. I'll even put it on screen. Boom. Boom. But I could not accept that all of these denominations are true. Anglicanism literally started from King Henry wanting to have more wives. So he just excommunicated himself from the whole church of Rome, and then he just made his own church. Like, there's no way you're telling me that this denomination is actually, like, they all teach the same thing, they're all true. Bruv, he literally just made his own church. Are you serious? Are you serious? If you actually research and read, a great book I recommend, I haven't read this yet, but I've heard other people recommend this, and I'm going to get this soon. It's called Rock and Sand. It talks about the many innovations and changes to the faith that happened during the 1500s. I mean, the whole sermon, the whole rock concert, and then TED Talk about God. They completely removed the 7 sacraments and the divine liturgy. Not everything, but a lot of you guys are missing all 7 of the sacraments. These guys were literally innovating, making stuff up as they please, just going and interpreting the faith in their own way. And this is literally the traditions of men. You are following the traditions of men.
Come on, let's give the Lord a shout of praise. How many of you came to go to battle tonight? Friend, I want to tell you, they're going to keep it real loud till I'm feedbacking. No, keep it up, it's okay. There is deliverance power in this house. I'm not letting the enemy hold back my shout. I came with the Holy Ghost shotgun today to let the enemy know, get your hands on.
Благодать Господа нашего Иисуса Христа Твоего, приложив Духом Твоим святым. Аминь, аминь, аминь. Діва сина породила благодаті, непорочна діва мати Марія.
Not the traditions of Christ, not of the traditions of the early Christian church, not the traditions that the apostles founded. There's no incense, there's no priesthood, there's no divine liturgy. You can literally see the sermons and like the kind of rock church kind of thing that Protestants have going on. Like, bro, you're unfortunately following the traditions of men, not of the traditions that Christ in the first church founded. The more you research, the more you realize the errors of man and how they've changed and completely subverted Christianity. Now, Orthodoxy isn't just Catholicism without the Pope, it's complete, unchanged, ancient Christianity. So if you generally want to look into it, you're going to need to do a bit more research and just typing it up and just doing so. I'm going to put loads of videos in the description. Even at the end of the video, I'm going to recommend loads of videos you should watch if you're Muslim, if you're atheist, if you want to learn more about Orthodoxy, if you're Protestant. Loads of videos that I watched and that you're going to watch and you're going to be able to gain the information. I mean, why not Islam? There's so many reasons. Islam has one of the worst convert rates, not in the fact that they can't convert people, but that when they do, the converts, they just leave the faith like 6 months after. It has one of the highest revert rates. Another thing, the only reason why Muslims say that Islam is the fastest growing religion is because they're having so many kids. Not that they convert so many people, they have so many good arguments. And lastly, I say that Christians have 30,000 denominations. Islam is just one. That's not even true. Islam has many denominations. There's the Sunni, there's the Shia. Well then, Sunnis, there's way more people in the Sunnis than the Shias. Okay, but that doesn't talk about the true or falsity. Just because there's more people in one thing doesn't mean that it is true. You gotta look at the true or falsity of it. So it's fractured. They're still arguing. The scholars are still talking about a lot of things. Islam has no continuation with the Old Testament. They say, even though the Bible is one of the best attested documents of the known ancient world that we have today, the gap between the Bible being created and the documents in the Bible versus when Jesus was actually preaching, it's not even that long versus anything else, versus the Quran. It's literally like, even in the ancient world, Plato, William Shakespeare, all of that stuff, we have like a gap of 500 years before we even see any. I'll literally put something on screen right now. It's probably already on screen. But yeah, it has no continuation at all. It doesn't do any of the things that they talked about in the Old Testament. Like, there's no continuation at all. Again, if you want to know more about that, if you want to challenge your beliefs even as a Muslim right now, you can watch this video, and this video. And we're not even going to talk about the crucifixion. They don't even believe Jesus was crucified. Even atheists, Jews, everyone knows, and there's proof of scholars even today, that Jesus was 100% crucified. But we're meant to believe a religion that came 600 years after Jesus Christ's crucifixion on the other side of the world. I mean, come on now, come on. Say that he was actually whisked up to heaven and that he was just replaced, and Allah deceived everyone. They actually call, even in the Quran, it calls Allah the great deceiver. And what does it say in the Bible who the great deceiver is? Everybody gotta say it. I'm not gonna say it, but you already know. Now, the Red Pill has elements of how to be a man, get it all wrong through trying to use strategies to boost themselves up to be more appealing to the women instead of just being an actual man. It provides no value to the actual woman because it's a shell, it's a fake, it's a facade, which is literally why Hamza's woman lost attraction for him. Same thing goes for the looks maxes. Oh, you thought you were safe because I wasn't talking about you the whole video? Yes, I can admit my mistakes. I made a whole 1 hour guide. Trying to look better in of itself isn't necessarily bad, but for looks maxes, it comes completely from pride. They want to be worshipped for their features. If you literally see them, the way they describe people, the PSL scale, PSL gods, like, bruv, they're just born and they look more attractive. What's to say anything? Like, they literally worship these people. If you actually understand and look and you go on the forums and you see how they talk about the people, they talk about them like they're gods. That's real. And literally what I've learned is striving for health and striving for being healthy inadvertently will make you more attractive. Working out makes you more attractive. Now, I don't mean that in the lukewarm sense, like, oh, just go to the gym, just do a couple squats and you'll be attractive. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that we presuppose that is good for you, that are endocrine disruptors, that are horrible for your hormones. I mean, there's a lot of epigenetics that goes into all of this. Like, for example, a lot of craniology, bad facial development and proportions, comes from the food that we ate when we were children, comes from the food that our mothers ate when we were in their stomach. It's a lot of things that most people don't know. What she ate, how much did she exercise, how much was her lifestyle, how much endocrine disruptors and synthetic stuff she was exposed to really affects how much is expressed in the child, the genes that are expressed in the child. Finding that the environment factors in almost more than genetics, because the way that your genes are expressed is through your lifestyle. Certain genes turn off and on based on your lifestyle. Say you had the predisposition to be 6'2", but due to you eating a high carb diet during puberty, high carbohydrates, high sugars, and not a lot of animal meats, minerals, milk, dairy, all of that stuff, you now develop different cranial facial proportions. You now stunt your height. Now, there's so much that goes into it. I'll probably put a lot of stuff on screen, but you can research that on your own. You can look at epigenetics. That's not the main factor of this video. We're getting off topic. You can look max all you want for your ego, your vanity, to be worshipped by women and men alike. All that attracts is women who are attracted to you for your looks alone. It's not sort of woman that you'd want to be your wife. What happens when your looks fail you? When something happens, when these aren't going to be women who are fully committed to you. They're only committed because of what they see, the image that you project to them. the facade and the shell that you project to them. You're not gonna have a woman as traditional Christian values. You're just gonna have a woman, you're invoking lust in that woman. It's not love. This is where the Christ pill shines through orthodoxy, through wisdom, through repentance, through family, through brotherhood, fasting, discipline, family values, becoming a capable man, fulfilling your potential for your wife and your kids in the future. It's a holistic and original view of what a man should strive to be. It's a view of your grandfathers and fathers before them, men who are 10 times the character, 10 times the greatness of the men that we see today, the shallow men that we see today. You want to be rich, young, have sex, marry, but to do that you have to be a man of value, or else you're just going to be on a hedonic treadmill, following your own things, following whatever you want to do, following your own pleasures, following your own desires. This is another reason why nofap is almost impossible for men, because how are you going to try to stop your lust on the screen but then propagate that lust in the real world, like literally like trying to move to every single girl you find attractive, literally like mouth breathing when you see like yeah, like you even see this in the meme culture. That's why again I say memes controlling people, but that's a whole topic for another day. But yeah, you even see this in the culture being promoted, the degeneracy. Come on. How are you going to stop becoming lustful of women on the screen when you're lustful in real life? It doesn't make sense. Cut out the lust in general, cut out the sin. But this is a vid for another day. The reason why for most men, self-improvement is built on sticks and stones and straw and is just waiting to collapse, because the overall foundations of self-improvement are built from ego, vanity and pride. When they come from eudaimonic things like genuinely wanting to be better, not for yourself but for other people, for your future wife, for your kids, for God. A guy goes, now that's something worth fighting for. That's something that I should start sweating, blood, tears and sweat to try and strive to become. And that's where the Christ pill shines. Take the Christ pill, my friends, and receive eternal life in God, the Orthodox Christianity. Is a watch guide if you want to challenge your opinions, challenge your worldview and see how it matches up. Or if you generally want to see what this orthodoxy thing is about, you've been slightly intrigued by the video, or you want to actually go and find out or hear the vids, you can watch. And if you're an atheist, you can watch these. They're basically all the basic arguments that you've heard, and it's going to completely destruct them. They have logical fallacies, they don't line up. If you're a Protestant, you can watch this. It's going to help you to see some of the errors, the man-made errors that have caused a lot of the schism and a lot of this divide, and the actual history of Christianity. Now I really doubt this, because through my own experience in real life, I don't even know if a lot of people are like this, but through my own experience in life, a lot of Muslims, they're not trying to hear all that. They're just trying to argue this is now. They're not trying to actually hear opposing opinions. But if you are actually here already right now, if you haven't clicked off the vid, then you can generally watch these videos as well. They're going to really get you to see the errors and why it doesn't align. If you're Catholic, you need to watch these. You're going to show the true errors of the church and the true reason why the schism happened, and just pretty much everything. Now, if the things in this video resonated with you in any way, shape or form, then I want you in my community 100%. I need men with these sorts of values who aren't afraid to stray from the norm in self-improvement, in the self-improvement community right now, and to return back to the traditions of old, to the tradition of what men should strive to be like. I want to really actually create this brotherhood so badly, man. Not even for the whole money aspect, like you see these subscriptions, £100 every month, like brother, I don't even know if it's going to be completely free. For now, 100%, I'm just going to assess your character. When you join, you're going to be in this little interview section. I'm just going to assess your character. I'm going to interview you. I'm going to talk with you. I'm going to see if you're a passionate man, ambitious man, you actually want to strive to succeed for something, and you have that drive, that discipline. It's going to be like a growth house with loads of people around you with the same sort of goals and ambitions, striving and working together. There's going to be people who know more, people who know less. You're going to be teaching, you're going to be learning. That's what I want this brotherhood to achieve. I want you to actually see progress in yourself within this brotherhood. It's not like where I milk your money for like 1 month or anything like that. I want you to see a genuine change between yourself from when you start and then for maybe the next year. Like, just a huge change. I want everyone in the community to achieve their goals, to be making money for their family and for themselves, just everything, man. I don't want it to just stay online. I want to actually travel around the world with some of the people in the community. I want to actually do stuff outside of just online. I want this to be different, and it can happen. It just needs discipline, faith, work. Right now it don't cost anything, so join up. Eventually we'll move to school and stuff, but that'll be later down along the lines. I know it's not going to be monthly based, it's probably going to be yearly based, something like that. I don't know. Right now I just need men who are willing to grind and put in that effort, man. Like, really. You had to afford this video is generally good in some way, shape or form, right? You're here, you've been watching for a long, like, this video is long as I know it is because I'm recording it. You've been watching for a while, right? I only did watch the video. The retention and views is enough for me. I'm not gonna lie to you. I can use it, I can eat, I can do a lot of stuff, I can reinvest it into the YouTube, buy better cameras, buy better stuff. That's fine, right? But in my opinion, if you feel like this is a one and done type vid, you're not gonna watch me like anymore and stuff like that, you don't really want to consume more of my content, then don't subscribe. It's cool, it's cool. I'm not forcing the subscription on you, bro, because that used to piss me off a lot. I'd subscribe to people and then I'd see them in my feed, I'd be like, I don't really want to watch you though. Like, I want to be clogging up your feed or anything. The support is enough. Only sub if you generally think you're going to enjoy my content in the future, you want to see more of me, you know, stuff like that. And if you feel like more people should watch this video, then like, that's how it increases. And you know, I don't know how YouTube does it, but it's just, it reaches it out to more people. You get what I mean. Read more and watch more about orthodoxy. I'm so serious, guys. This really is, it really is gonna fill the hole in your heart. It really is the thing, man. It is God. It is true Christianity. It's unchanged. Read more about it, research more about it. Whew, that was a long ass video. I'm finally back now. Exams are done. Yeah, standard vid. Peace.